in the subject line was thugs, and it was a casting call. They wanted me to play a thug in a futuristic post-apocalyptic.
Oh yeah, I answered that too. I don't know if I'm thuggy enough.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm hoping,
Maybe you'd be one of the thugs in the background.
I'll be a thugette or something.
You know what is cool talking about, what we're doing here, our new show, George's show, and is that the technology is as such where people listen all over the world. So now, because we have this awesome platform of internet broadcasting, kindly, and I want to talk about it on the coalition too, but we'll touch on it briefly today. Kindly, the FCC is releasing its chokehold a little bit on over-the-air FM broadcasting. That's coming up in October, where communities, nonprofit organizations, churches, community college can apply and actually potentially get an FM license. And we talked about this years ago, actually, George, when it first came out.
I remember that, yeah.
And it's finally coming to fruition now. In October, there'll be the first chance to license. So if you have an established nonprofit or if you form a nonprofit, you can potentially get this license and be actual over-the-air. Now, chances are your big listenership is going to be online and streaming these days anyway, but you can also be over-the-air. And, depending on where your tower is stationed,
that can be significant.
Yeah, it can be hundreds of thousands. They're low-power FM stations that reach close to 1 million people just because of where they're situated. So.
Well, that's why, and are we allowed to use the words Cumulus and Citadel? That's why I'm fascinated by the fact that they would allow that to take place. Think about the Upper West Side of Manhattan. A church at Morningside Heights. Right. All of a sudden is broadcasting into arguably one of the wealthiest, most highly educated, most affluent, and highly focused communities in the world. And all that you're able to then go right after the business at the big New York stations and demand that kind of money. So it's going to be interesting to see what parameters they really allow, and if the word Tea Party is going to be allowed in the application.
And if you have people, if you have the real estate, you can set up repeaters. So now, if you have the people in the neighborhood who are interested, who want to do their own shows, set up their home studio, set up the repeater for it. Now, legally, you are doing some serious quote-unquote damage as far as what you can do with a very limited... I'm talking a thing off of eBay, a laptop computer, a place to get to your roof, to hang your antenna, a couple pals, and you've got a serious station.
Yeah, wouldn't there still be a limitation problem on things like the power of the transmitter power and things like that?
Well, it has become so streamlined that there are kits that just plug into the wall and
they will boost your signal.
They'll boost it, or I'm assuming, and it's true here and any station that you're at. You probably don't want to be hanging out with that transmitter pack like on your crotch all day. You might grow a third something, but I mean, it's no different than someone who takes the time and energy to possibly, let me word this diplomatically for our over-the-air audience, grow something in their basement or at their home, and needs to plug in grow lights. It'll be the same amount of power as that. So it's not going to be something which I could see, you hook up this awesome transmitter in your garage, you get your National Grid bill, and it's $1,000 for the last month you've been pulling off.
Or like Christmas vacation, you bring down the entire grid.
So again, it's going to be a big potential return for a small investment in both money and power.
Especially if you can get the people and you get the real estate. I mean, it could be really cool.
Well, think about, too, the political implications.
Right.
We're going into an election season in 2014 that might be amongst the most balkanized elections in recent American history, particularly here in the Northeast. You've got wide open seats all over the place, and now the Sevey thing, it changes all the calculus on a statewide election. So the ability to then generate income off of political advertising, which is the mother's milk of all radio, is astonishing because, depending on how focused it is, traditional radio stations, for example, like Latino Public Radio, which had a lock on a particular focused community, now all of a sudden lose that power. And so the fallout from that may be tremendous.
Speaking of political advertising, this last turnaround, Twin River spent $1 million in advertising in Rhode Island to get that bill passed, and it was successful. and they had the budget for it. But I mean, there were stations that haven't sold ads in years. All of a sudden, Twin River comes knocking with 100,000. I mean, you really did see an influx of income for these smaller stations who they wanted to reach that community. They wanted to reach the entrenched lady in the high-rise old folks home who only listens to radio, and that's where they had to spend that money.
Yeah, the only danger in this whole situation, though, is excessive fragmentation.
Right.
I mean, that can be a dampener on the whole enthusiasm thing, but, the quality will hopefully rise to the top, or at least the loudest.
That's exactly it. In my experience, content now, with technology, content is king, and the good shows rise to the top, and the crap fizzles out.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many so-called professionals don't understand that yet.
Now, we also have the issue of everything else, whether it be in a band, radio, anything. Someone is all gung-ho, yeah, radio, this is awesome. I want to be in a band, this is awesome. Then they realize this is a lot of work, and they decide that it sucks. It's not for them anymore.
Right.
Yeah, it looks glamorous on TV, being in a band.
Well, there'll be a gold rush. There'll be an initial gold rush to radio because people see easy money until they realize the reality. But if you look at some of what had been distribution companies, like Netflix, for example, who is now generating their own content and doing a hell of a job at it. I'm a big House of Cards fan.
Oh, yeah, that's a great show.
I don't know about you guys. I mean,
great
Kevin
show.
Spacey is just astonishing in that show. So you've got all sorts of new channels developing content. So, Tony, I agree with you 100%.
It's going to be a boom town around here. And, oh, by the way, anybody listening, I know this technology. I've been doing it since day one, so I know this technology with my eyes. I could go to sleep right now and operate all of this. So anybody listening maybe needs some consultation services. You let Uncle Tony know. I'll take
That's
care
right.
of you.
Tony needs to make a little money to save up for an engagement ring.
And a house and a kid. We didn't even touch on the kid
Yeah,
yet.
how much are kids these days?
I
Where
don't know.
are you going to get one of those?
I was thinking Craigslist.
Well, yeah, you can get a second-hand kid there.
Well, yeah, well, we can get a Russian kid, but aren't they radioactive?
Chernobyl
Nowadays,
babies.
yes.
I think there's a band called the Chernobyl Babies, now that I think about it. Hey,
If not, there should be.
I'm going to spin our weekly dose of the charms, then we'll come back. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap things up. We'll talk a little bit about the coalition coming up. But before that, I am making my way down this whole charms CD, and we are on track number 3, and this is Marianne.
I feel
We've laughed, we've cried. Well, mostly I've cried. But unfortunately, another episode of the Tony Jones Show is, well, we're just about out of here. You just heard from the Charms. We are going through this whole album, Charmed, I'm Assured, which was, George was just going to throw that album away, and I saved it like a puppy.
No, I was not going to throw that album away. I actually bought 2 copies of it. One is in my collection, and one I thoughtfully gave to you.
In this very studio. So, P.O., Chris, we are going to be taking to the airwaves. Well, we're going to be retaking to the airwaves. If you're out there listening anywhere, check out facebook.com/The Coalition Radio, because you can tune in to what is going to be a talk show. So now I thought that, people would get it, and a large amount of people do get it. However, I'm noticing that people just want to hear a talk show still. Now, to me, that is just a foreign concept, but I have had people that have said to me, you need to talk more, and that's scary to me.
Wait, a talk show in which people actually talk and debate rather than scream shrilly.
And we won't be selling MREs, and we won't be selling colloidal silver. We may sell bomb shelters if the opportunity arises.
No, I think tinfoil hats and crowns of thorns.
Possibly
and,
we
hair
could
shirts.
We could get sponsored by Lipozine. I'm thinking, but
we will continue to be a Trayvon Zimmerman free zone.
That's right. We will. I have banished songs from the Tony Jones Show. We will banish news stories from the Coalition. We will. It's done. No, we can't beat that drum
not all together,
anymore.
But specific ones, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's room on the radio for people to discuss in a long-form format, similar to what you used to hear on the great old talk shows, the Mike Douglas,
back in
the Mervs, the Johnny Carson, back in when the Tonight Show wasn't a parody of itself, and people came on to advocate ideas, not their latest project.
Right.
I think there's in Rhode Island where the issues are complex and they're constantly attacked. We call it here at our show outrage porn, where instead of trying to gin up results and answers, people try to gin up emotions in a cheap ploy in order to gain quick and easy advertising dollars. Not that we're not above quick and easy advertising dollars.
Right. In fact, we're totally in favor of quick and easy advertising dollars. Yeah.
Quick and easy, anything pretty much goes with us.
Right.
Food sponsorships, coffee sponsorships.
No,
we're here for you.
Mary Lou's, if they could send the Mary Lou's girls up here, I wouldn't complain about that.
That'll solve your marriage dilemma.
But we're going to have guests on. We're going to discuss issues. We're going to actually try in a positive manner, in keeping with the station's format, try and develop ideas that are realistic, and at the same time discuss the coming demise of the state of Rhode Island.
Now, just so you guys know, I do go ballistic every once in a while. I hope that's not going to...
No, that'll be fun.
I hope that is not going to eliminate me from the program.
Steel Cage Deathmatch Radio. All right? Think of it like your own audio driver's ed film. Horrifying to watch, horrifying to listen to, yet oddly riveting.
So I think it's going to be fun, and I think that it's definitely going to be something different, and I think that people are going to dig it. And we're definitely going to have a lot to talk about with the upcoming elections.
And we're going to take over your time slot on Sundays, right, Tony?
I think Sundays suck. But
at least during football season.
Yeah. No, I really think that Sundays are just a horrible time to be on the radio.
Well, Chris, you had a great idea. What was it? TV on, sound off, listen to us.
Yeah.
Right, because realistically, you don't really need to listen to what the announcers are talking about. They're just going to fill dead space, and we'd be happy to fill that dead space for you.
Because we are dead. But at 5 o'clock, you've been listening to people talk about the same Patriots game somewhere in the order of 22 hours.
And people love it for some reason. That's just
right. And all they're saying is, there's that point where nothing's happening, and they're just babbling. They're here to play football today. They're giving 100%.
I talk with just because I want people to hear my voice. Why should other people have that option?
Right. All right, we got to get out of here. P.O., thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
George, as always, thank you.